Hello and welcome to a new episode on Sadhana World Foundation. As you know, we care about crafting young lives. We present them stories drawn from our folk tales and lessons in history which are anchored on moral values. We think that these stories contain tremendous amount of teachings which our young children and young adults can inculcate in their own lives and become stronger and better human beings. What happens when you find a piece of jewelry while you are walking on the road? You pick it up, right? And what do you do with that piece of jewelry? Do you sell it? Do you use that money for your own self? Do you donate that money? Do you donate that piece of jewelry to someone else? A good friend of yours in the class asks you for help in the exam. Do you cheat? Do you bend the rules? Do you take shortcuts and help your friend? Let's say you are running a small business. You need some favor from someone and that person asks you for a bribe. What do? Do you pay the bribe or you protest and you say that, hey, this is illegal and this is fraud. I will not break the laws. I will not commit a fraud. These are things in our daily life. Let's say two good friends, you go to buy something and both of you like the same thing. One of you have to make the sacrifice and the other person has to buy. Who does the sacrifice? You or your friend? So these are dilemmas that we all face in our lives, isn't it? How do we make decisions in our lives? We think and we act. What is that process of thinking? What gives clarity in our mind? I think the thoughts in our mind are based on the beliefs and the values that we hold dear to us. Those values and beliefs define who we are. Let's listen into this small story. This is from one of the Buddhist folk tales, you can say. Once upon a time, Gautam Buddha was going from one place to the other along with a group of his disciples. They were passing through a jungle, expansive jungle. They all felt thirsty. So one of the disciples went to the nearby stream to collect some water. He reaches the stream and he sees that a lot of animals are taking bath and drinking water from that stream. And the water is very muddy, very dirty. It's not worth drinking. So he comes back empty-handed with the empty pitcher, and others ask him what happened. He describes that the water is not yet ready for drinking, so Gautam Buddha advises all of them to take some rest and wait. After some time, the disciple goes there again and collects the water, comes back. Gautam Buddha asks that person what happened this time. He says that the animals are gone, the water is quite clear now, the mud and the dust and the dirt which had got mixed up with water and which was floating on the surface has now settled down. Water is clear enough, now you can drink this water. So all of them drank that water. Gautam Buddha then shares his thoughts with his disciples, says that all of you need to consider this as our mind. The water is like our mind. Many times our mind is muddied, mind is muddled with various things. If we can let that mud settle down, just allow some time, the mud will settle down. You will start thinking very clearly. You will see the whole picture very clearly. So many a times the purity of our mind depends upon what thoughts are running in that mind, what experiences that we are processing. Think of the story from Mahabharata. You would have heard this. Let me re-describe and explain. from my perspective. Dronacharya was the royal teacher. He was teaching all the sons of Dhritarashtra as well as Pandu, the Pandavas and Kauravas. Arjun, one of the Pandavas, was one of the most brilliant archers, the most brilliant students in his batch. His duty was to teach the princess of the kingdom. His contract with the kingdom prevented him from teaching other children because his objective is to make the princess the best that time could have. Once Arjun found another boy in the jungle who had a technique which Arjun was still learning and hadn't mastered very well. Arjun was surprised to see how this boy can follow the sound and shoot his arrow with such a great accuracy. Those days it used to be called as Shabdavedi shooting. This technique was not known to Arjun. He was still learning. He was very upset seeing that another warrior knew this art while he was still learning. He asked Dronacharya. Dronacharya was surprised. Then both of them go and then they talk to that young warrior. His name was Ekalavya. Ekalavya had learned apparently all of this from Dronacharya, but he was not learning all of this from Dronacharya directly. He was learning while Dronacharya was teaching this to the princess, and he was watching it from a distance. By just observing, he learned. So Dronacharya said that I am your guru, but you have to give a guru dakshina. You have learned it not directly from me. What you have done is not right. Now you better pay the guru dakshina and then become my disciple officially. Dronacharya asked him to cut his thumb of the right hand and offer that as guru dakshina. Ekalavya does it. And Ekalavya can't do archery any time in his life. That was such a sad moment for Ekalavya and everyone else. Arjun was happy because his competitor Ekalavya was eliminated. So he would continue to become the best archer of that time. Various people have interpreted this particular episode of Mahabharata in different ways. Some people say that Dronacharya did this knowingly that Arjun, who he is contracted to make the best, will remain the best and all others can be eliminated. So his thoughts were not pure. As a teacher, he did not do his job right, but as possibly a party to the contract, he did whatever is ethical. Because the contract says that he can only teach the princess. He cannot share his knowledge and perspectives with somebody outside the family of the king. So from that perspective, what he did was right. But from another perspective, as somebody who is a teacher who who's not supposed to have any limitations in spreading his teachings, what he did was wrong. Someone else has interpreted this particular episode with a very interesting dimension. He says that Dronacharya did it with a great deal of strategy. The strategy was to make Ekalavya famous, not as an archer, but famous as a great disciple, that the disciple obeys the words of the guru. So various interpretations, but the point that I am trying to share with you all from this episode of Mahabharata, or this folktale, or whatever you can say, that Dronacharya, as a person, in his mind, as a teacher, in his mind, committed a mistake, that he eliminated a great student of his, one of his talented disciples, got eliminated in the process. So, ladies and gentlemen, my dear young children, all these stories, the Buddhist story as well as this Mahabharata story, teaches us the same thing, that our mind needs to have the purity of thoughts. Our values and beliefs determine who we are. The actions that we take emanate from our thoughts, from our mind. If our mind is pure, we will think positive, we will do things, we will take actions which are beneficial for the society, beneficial for the community in which we live. And everyone else in the community gets benefited. We get recognized, we get respected for our actions. Like the teaching of Gautam Buddha in that story, where he asked all of us, his disciples, to let the mind settle down. All the disturbing thoughts which are running through our mind, let them settle down. It's a practice with which we can make our mind calm so that we can see the whole picture clearly and take the decision based on what we think is right. When our mind is muddled with number of things, when the water is dirty, we are not able to think in a very pure and calm way. In Srimad Bhagavadgita, Lord Sri Krishna advises Arjuna, through their teachings, advises all of us 26 qualities which we all must try to master. The first quality is Abhay. The second quality is Sattva Sansuddhi, which means purity of mind. It's in chapter 16. So, ladies and gentlemen, my dear young children, purity of mind is such an important thing which is there in our mythological stories, in our folk tales, everywhere. It's an important practice for all of us to become greater and better as human beings. Thank you very much for watching this. I look forward to our future conversations.